So the big tax question is this: how do wealthy people keep their money working for them when selling their business, real estate, or other highly appreciated assets without paying hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in tax? What if we, as business and real estate owners who have poured blood, sweat, and tears to growing our wealth, and who didn't hire expensive tax attorneys and CPAs to map out an exit strategy, knew their secrets? Instead of recreating the wheel, why can't we just model the way they deferred 30 to 50% in tax, paid off debt, funded their next business dream, and most importantly, leave a financial legacy to give to the causes we believe in most? What if their secrets weren't complicated at all, and you just need a guide who is a few steps ahead of you? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brett Swarts, and welcome to Capital Gains Tax Solutions. Welcome to the Build to Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe the key to scaling and compounding your wealth and life starts every single day with the mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal is to help you scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more all of it away to help MVPs, the most vulnerable people. My name is Brett Swarts, and each and every episode we're joined by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires, and they share their secrets and insights and wisdom with us so we can all level up and scale to make a bigger impact. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the state of California, originally from Poland. He's a founder, and inventor. He invented Skunk Lock, $1 billion plus deterrent lock industry for carbon neutrality. He is modernizing retirement investing with Side Pocket. He invented in-bottle aging in the first vintage spirit. So much cool stuff in a background that is very unique. And I'm excited to have this conversation about helping within the wealth disparity world. Please welcome the show, Mr. Daniel Idzkowski. I'm not probably pronouncing that correctly, but I did my best I could. Daniel, how are you doing?
Doing well, Brett. Thanks for having me on the show.
Excellent. For our listeners get to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit about your story and your current focus?
Sure. My parents came here as refugees from communist Poland in the 80s, settled in San Francisco. So I was very fortunate that I ended up here. Naturally, always was fascinated by technology, innovation, impact. So it was a great place to be. I grew up in a neighborhood that most people today know called Soma, but back when I grew up there, it was mostly just a trailer park, a salami factory, and a bunch of parking lots. So that's changed quite a bit over the last 30 years. And that really ingrained the entrepreneurial spirit in me because San Francisco just embodies innovation and entrepreneurship.
Amazing. Take us back to those days, I believe we'll all be given certain gifts in this life, and the gifts will be given to blessing to others. So you're growing up. What was like your strength, your superpower, your gift? What are one or two of those, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
So as a kid, I was always an entrepreneur. When I was 5, I started selling candy. That was my first venture. I realized that I lived in an apartment complex with 350 units, that I can visit all 350 on Halloween, gather enough candy and sell it throughout the year, and actually make a good amount of money to sustain myself. So I was always very independent, always very entrepreneurial, and that kind of stuck with me for the rest of my life. So that's definitely a strength of mine.
Excellent. Love that. I love that resourcefulness and the entrepreneurial spirit. So let's dive right into the topic at hand, which is the wealth disparity and disparity and ways to help to bridge that gap. What's the number one insight or thought you want to share to start us off?
So I think the biggest thing that provoked me to actually try to solve this problem or contribute to it positively in some impactful way was I'm a very data-driven person. And if you look at the data, we are in trouble. And by we, I mean predominantly Americans. Wealth disparity is increasing at an alarming and exponential rate. Inflation is increasing. Social Security is projected to significantly reduce its ability to pay out by 2035. And there's no easy solutions that are government driven to get us out of that. So it needs to be done through innovation and through kind of really tactful innovation.
Okay, so let's walk through maybe the some of the ideas you have there. Maybe what's the top one, or how do you want to approach the conversation here?
So I think a little bit of history goes a long way.
That's great.
And I always like to, I'm a big believer that try to be useful in terms of what you share. If you can't be useful, try to be entertaining. And the best way of being entertaining is if you can share things that most people will shock them or that they don't know. I think what most people don't know today, that is a undeniable truth, is that every single wealth manager out there uses the same model for investment allocation, asset allocation. That is a derivative of a PhD thesis called Portfolio Selection that was written in 1952 by a guy named Harry Markowitz. The derivative of this thesis is what's now known as modern portfolio theory, or some people also derive from that something called strategic asset allocation. So whether you're using a robo advisor or a mom and pop RIA, registered investment advisor that you've been with for 30, 40 years down the street, they're all doing the same thing. What most people don't know is that it doesn't really suit the modern investor anymore. And I would go as far as saying is it doesn't work anymore. And the reason for that is a big part of the assumptions made in that thesis essentially was that correlations of different asset classes are going to remain relatively uncorrelated. But there's been globalization since 1952. Correlations of asset classes like US equities and European equities, particularly at the time when you need the benefit of diversification the most, approach one. So when the market falls, everything's falling, as it turns out. So the actual implication of this is we have tens of millions of Americans that are investing in these strategies where they're expecting the benefits of diversification. And the benefit is, generally speaking, when the market crashes, you don't lose that much money because the mathematics is it's nonlinear. So when you lose 50% of your retirement portfolio, it doesn't take 50% to get your money back. It takes 100%. So it's a nonlinear relationship, and Wall Street and every advisor on the planet is trying to hide that fact. Because the biggest lie told in the industry is stocks go up and down, don't worry about it, they'll recover. Well, guess what? There is a small percentage of people that have access to strategies that don't crash 30% every few years. And as a result, they achieve milestones much faster. So in short, access to these strategies is extremely gate capped and limited to the retail investor, and is contributing significantly to the wealth disparity crisis in the United States.
Okay, got it. So I think I captured this. And I think one of the key things is when you lose 50%, it does not take 50% to get back. It takes 100% to get it back. And it sounds like I guess it's the 60-40 model, 60% stocks, 40% bonds at the general model. And this idea that this is, you're in a good diversified position, but really there's lots of foundational things that are, you mentioned it's not the modern way anymore. So let's move into like what you can do or what maybe someone should be considering.
So a big part of the challenge in democratizing access to, let's call it for just practical purposes, hedge fund grade strategies or institutional grade strategies, the kind of stuff that billionaires do, not even millionaires, right? There is a lot of regulation and red tape in how those strategies can be offered. So for example, in order to invest in a hedge fund, unless you are a qualified investor or a credit investor, you can't legally. They cannot take you as a client, right? So that's why the limits are so high. You need 5 million in liquid capital. That's when the government considers you a qualified investor. And then most hedge funds that actually know what they're doing, they won't take you unless you invest 100 million. That's the benchmark for the top 5% of hedge funds usually. And that is a multi-year process that is going to require an entire overhaul of the industry, and that's kind of what we've committed to do over a decade. Uh, and you have to systematically push those boundaries and encourage regulators, policymakers. So it's not just a technological innovation or a deep tech challenge. It's also a regulatory one, a compliance one. Uh, for example, you can't even go short directly on behalf of clients unless they meet certain qualifications. But there are other things you can do, like buy inverse ETFs and ETNs and things of that sort. So it's going to be a multi-year process of essentially showing that we can do this responsibly and showing that this is unequivocally very important to do this for the retail investor specifically.
Speaking with Daniel, and I'm going to spell the last name because it's a little more challenging. Idzkowski. You can find him on LinkedIn and follow him there. Daniel Idzkowski. And yeah, so it sounds like the second insight to this is the importance of democratizing access to institutional strategies and investment teams, and taking or breaking down the qualified investor status or the accredited investor status that gives everyone equal opportunity to invest. It seems to make a lot of sense, Daniel. What do you think is the purpose of these accredited qualified? Like they build up these walls for people to not be able to jump over. Give us a little history on that, and I even think about real estate and private equity, right? And they have to be accredited, and people get frustrated because they want to actually get out of the 60-40, and they want to go to something where they know, like, and trust with a friend or family member or someone who's a professional in that area. Part of it is, hey, let's protect people from not going with those that aren't qualified to be in the business. So I know there's probably two sides to this, but give us a little bit more color and history on the accredited and the qualified investor status.
Yeah, so essentially the government does this in order to protect people from losing everything. And there is a lot of predatory players in the industry as well. So the government essentially just said, okay, if you do not have X amount of capital, we can't afford to let you be a victim to any of these potentially nefarious players in the industry. So that's why it is such a process of building trust over years, building track record over many years. This is not going to happen overnight, but when it does, the overall mission and goal of the entire company in building this deep technology is to offer it to every single advisory in the world and replace these antiquated models.
Okay, good. Keep going on that. This is great. That makes sense. So walk us through, besides democratizing it, like what and opening it up, is that something that you guys are doing or working on, or walk through a little bit of your business models?
So SidePocket is foundationally a deep tech company. We're not legally, we're structured as a registered investment advisor with the SEC registered. That is just a regulatory requirement to operate, to build track record, etc. But the goal ultimately is to offer these strategies to everyone, particularly those servicing retail clients. In terms of our productization of the deep tech, because as it turns out, you sometimes need to twist the wrist of existing players. Because if I were to provide a summation of the investment industry, one, it's antiquated, and two, is extremely resistant to change. Turns out there is safety in numbers. So when your financial advisor lost you 30% of your retirement portfolio in 2022, and you're saying, I pay you 1% to manage this money, what the hell? Their answer is, but everybody lost 30%. And as it turns out, people now, it's the modern investor, quote unquote, that's not good enough anymore. They're leaving their financial advisor. They're trying everything else. They're trying their hand at picking stocks. They're going into crypto, and all these things are not necessarily a better alternative, but it does show how much these antiquated financial advisory services have failed the modern investor. in such a meaningful way. And this is especially timely now because of the massive wealth transfer that's going to happen over the next 15 years in the trillions of dollars, right? So we're productizing based on where we can have the most impact immediately. So we're actually launching a productized version of the deep tech specifically for contractors and business owners so that they can get as much as $66,000 in deductions almost instantly. And in the back end, it'll be some of the most powerful strategies available to retail investors today. So we're going after, self-employed contractors predominantly. If you are a social media channel, if you operate a consultancy, if you're a contractor, anything like that, this would be a very powerful tool for you. But eventually, we have multiple paths to commercialization.
Okay, interesting. All right. So you guys are an RIA that uses deep tech to basically offer strategies to everybody that is outside of it's at the institutional type of level, but outside the traditional retail investors. Is that a fair summary so far?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
And
all right.
And I should probably note that we're even systematically staging our innovation on the strategy level. So we're starting with something that regulators, the SEC, our insurance provider are comfortable with right now for us innovating on, which is regime-aware tactical asset allocation. So we identify the economic regime using sophisticated mathematics and models, and then we tactically rebalance on average once a month. But eventually, we're pushing the boundary continuously to try to close that gap between what is currently offered to retail investors. And retail is anyone that doesn't have $5 million and individuals that have $100 million to invest in the top hedge fund.
Okay, great. So if someone was like, hey, I'm interested, how do they work with you guys, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so you can visit sidepocket.com and sign up. And then there's a whole process to identify the type of investor you are and things of and determining whether you're a fit for what we have offered right now. So we don't offer everything.
And you don't have to be, you could just be a retail investor. You don't have to be accredited, and you don't have to be working through an RIA. You don't have to be working through a financial advisor. You guys become that. Yeah.
Correct. So in order to build track record and meet a few different milestones, we are offering it directly to clients right now.
Yep.
But our predominant vehicle for this is retirement specific accounts. So Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, and this is productized through our unique kind of structuring of that with the tactical regime aware models in the back end.
I love it. And by the way, I'm at sidepocket.com. Everybody, you can go here and it'll have a understanding the side pocket difference, Robinhood or Betterment or Robot Advisors, and it has a whole entire investment approach, risk mastery tools, fees, cost structure, automation level. And you should take a peek at this and look at it. I'm loving what I'm hearing so far. And it seems it sounds pretty good. What haven't I asked you so far, Daniel, that you want to make sure that you share and get a chance to talk about here?
Yeah, I guess one question that I like to address is kind of the why we're doing this. So I should mention our team is over 50% of the team is compensated entirely in equity, including myself. And we have a team of 20 people right now. So that's 10 people that came from high-paying jobs making over $600,000 a year at hedge funds as cryptographers, CTOs, quants, you name it, that are working effectively for free on this. And that should be an indication of how important what we're working on is. And our team should be on the website.
Yeah, that is powerful. So you've got some of the best that have come from that world that are helping to build this now. Excellent. I love that. Let's talk about capital gains tax a little bit, right? So part of, you may or may not know, I have a company called Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and we focus on the this $100 trillion transfer the next 5 to 15 years, largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. And the lack of diversification, the lack of freedom and flexibility with the 1031 exchange. And we build what's called capital gains tax exit plans. We're able to exit businesses, real estate, Bitcoin, even stock, diversify, and then you can put it into investments like this, right? And harvest without having to suffer the tax consequences through an installment sale with the trust is the whole thing. And anyways, the main thing is just the need for this. 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day, 80 million in the US alone. And it's just this tsunami. And we believe it's the reverse Tea Party happening. And if we don't have great tax teams in place, that the government's going to get their hands on it, and we're gonna waste it away pretty quickly, right? Versus keep it in the hands of the people to create jobs, create economy, right? Spur economic growth. Just talk about that whole concept of capital gains tax and how you kind of approach it when it comes to exiting highly appreciated assets.
Absolutely. So we're big believers that your first priority when starting your journey to achieve financial independence and financial freedom is to audit your taxes. And that's why we started with this new vehicle where we allow these small business owners, contractors to make massive 5-figure deductions right off the bat. And why we're focused predominantly on retirement vehicles where there is no short-term capital gains. So we do offer brokerages directly, but we don't advertise them because the models are completely unrestrained in a tax advantaged account, where in a brokerage you have to weigh the balances of every rebalance. Is it worth rebalancing on a monthly basis relative to the short-term capital gains that are potentially experienced? So we think about this quite a lot, and fortunately within the vehicles that we are able to offer, we're able to defer essentially all taxes for our direct clients.
Got it. So within for those who may or may not caught all of that, right? In IRA 401k, right, as an example, the income and the cap gains is all deferred within all the different trades, and until there's a distribution or a payment out, typically at a certain age, does any tax get incurred? And so it's a qualified plan versus unqualified, where it's going to be taxed and the efficiency is going to not be as efficient. So and so what we build, Daniel, is basically kind of like IRAs for your 10, 50, 100 million, $1 billion exit in a sense. And when it goes into these trusts, it owes you back the money, but the trust typically doesn't pay any tax because it can expense the interest that's owed to the person who sold it. And so it acts kind of like an IRA to an extent, as long as we don't hit certain numbers above and beyond the interest rate and the fees, which is really nice. The second piece about it is it allows someone to truly diversify, but also eliminate the estate tax. I think the other people either forget, they think the stepped up basis will solve for their estate tax, but it won't, right? Stepped up basis only solves for cap gains tax, but eliminating the estate tax is essential. Now, fortunately for the big beautiful bill, we have 30 million for a married couple, 15 million single are the new numbers, which is nice, but still people need to be aware of this, right? So talk about estate tax and debt tax solutions. What's your thoughts on that?
So we made a very strategic decision 7 or 8 years ago. That's how long we've been working on the deep technology, that there are people like yourself that are experts in that space. So we heavily lean on our partnerships to help our clients navigate those unique tax situations. And we focus 100% on the asset allocation deep technology. And that in and of itself is already a massive complexity. So in short, we work with really amazing people that help our clients that are partners of ours, but we don't directly work with clients in regards to those kinds of estate considerations.
Yeah, no, thank you for answering. People want to learn more about my service and what we do. Go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about how to build a capital gains tax exit plan for your Bitcoin business, real estate, to defer the tax, and to be able to diversify with groups like Daniel and his team with the wealth, and to grow in a very strategic way. Excellent. So let's keep going here. When you say deep technology, for those, just define that a little more. Just help us understand what you mean by that.
So it means we're doing something that requires a foundational breakthrough that's creating a new market. So think OpenAI pre-Chat GPT. So we will be the foundational layer in the next 5-10 years of one category of the financial world, let's say. So this requires a significant investment as well, generally speaking, under most definitions. In our case, it's in excess of $10 million if you include human capital, and over 5 years of pretty diligent research work as well, and implementation. So deep technology is essentially building something foundational, something new, something novel that creates a new market that is inherently defensible. Sometimes it's patentable. Sometimes it operates as a trade secret. But it doesn't require us to move quickly. It requires us to build diligently.
Got it. Excellent. That's really helpful. Talking about AI, right? What's some of the best ways that AI is helping you to enhance and accelerate your business plan and your vision?
So AI in today's world, it really means large language models. In our particular case, not much. This is a very different tangent of mathematics. There are obviously massive implications on efficiency. Like some of the incredibly talented people on our team can operate significantly faster. AI can handle the tedious work very well. But ultimately, it does not handle breakthroughs and significantly foundational research. At the end of the day, it's still built by humans. So we found that operationally, we can operate significantly more efficiently, but at the core, building deep technology still requires just really smart people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. You ready for the lightning round?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 20-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Don't quit my job with no savings.
What was that job? Just kind of curious.
Well, I left the hedge fund world, and I decided to become an entrepreneur far too early. I slept on friends' couches, and I was broke, eating once a day. I probably could have kept that job 6 more months, and done a lot better. That probably shaved some years off my life.
Okay, excellent. Question number 2. Number 1 book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
So most of my network is more interested in my entrepreneurial career than my financial one. 0 to 1, I think, is foundational. If I had that book when I started my first company over a decade ago at this point, it would have been instrumental.
Excellent. Question number 3, number 1 leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
I think I had a mentor that would say, don't worry about knowing people, worry about being worth knowing. And because there's a quote that competes directly with that, is your network is your net worth. I actually disagree with that. If you're not worth actually being knowing or being connected to your network, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I like it. That's great. How do you best stay ultra disciplined and super healthy?
5 things. I'm actually a really lazy person, so I deduced all of my health to 5 habits that I do on a daily basis. The first one is green tea. I consume 3 liters of green tea every day. High quality stuff I order from Japan. Gyokuro is amazing stuff. Matcha is amazing stuff. Second is kefir grains. So that's the secret of the people that live 100 years in the Caucasus Mountains. The third is extra virgin olive oil, the real stuff that you can only really get in Europe or small specialty places in the United States. Third is infrared saunas. And the fifth is really simple. It's intermittent fasting. You do those 5 things every day. I stay pretty focused, disciplined, and healthy overall. Even when I work 12, 16-hour days sometimes.
I love it. Perfect. I wrote all those down. Those are excellent. It's funny. I bought my matcha green tea and more powder that I toss it, and you tell me what you think, into the smoothies, right? Mm-hmm. So, and it adds some decent flavor, and I know it's good for me. So yeah. I have to check out the kefir greens, and I love the extra virgin olive oil. I've heard that, yeah, but it's hard to find. You're right. Yep. Now, do you buy the infrared sauna like at your house, at the gym? Like, what do you recommend that you like, or what?
I ended up installing an infrared sauna because I found it hard going to the gym and using a sauna. I want to be able to come home from a dinner and use it at 11 p.m. if I wanted to.
That's awesome. Is there a particular one that you recommend, or is it just, it doesn't really matter? Just infrared sauna?
It doesn't really matter that much. Infrared is kind of infrared.
Okay, cool. Right on. Excellent. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, how do you best stay centered with a stewardship mindset over ownership? And then what's something that, one last reminder of something to make a difference on for the wealth disparity?
So I will say, I didn't grow up with money. So acquiring financial freedom did not really change my life too much. So the way I kind of benchmark my life goals and happiness is I would like to impact positively millions of people. My goal was never necessarily to make millions of dollars or anything like that, or not financially driven. And I think if you have a goal that's not financially driven, ultimately it does lead to more sustainable happiness.
Awesome. Daniel, it's been more than a pleasure. I'm getting Idzkowski, Idzkowski for those that are listening. I want to thank you for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I want to thank you for your heart to help to bridge the gap for the wealth disparity and using your gifts and your talents to make a huge difference in this world. And so for our listeners who want to get in touch with you, would you remind them one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
My LinkedIn. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. Or feel free to email me. It's just daniel@sidepocket.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. And also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Build a Billions podcast, also streamed on Capital Gains Tax Solutions and YouTube channels. We're on this journey with you to scale from millions to billions so we can get more all the way to help MVPs. My name is Brett Swarts, and I want to encourage you to take action today. Share this with someone that could be of insight and inspiration to. And also, if you have a large exit or know someone has a large exit of Bitcoin, business, real estate, massive capital gains taxes, $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain, big enough deals, reach out to us at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and we can show you and give you an introduction to what we can do to help you on that. Appreciate everyone listening and watching out there, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye now.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.